Welcome to Sage Sisters. We are sisters, besties, moms, and co-founders having a fun catch-up on parenting and life. Welcome back. I'm Ann.
And I'm Kate. Welcome to the Sage Sisters podcast. Excited to have you here. Ann, how are you doing today?
We're doing good. We got hit with the norovirus this past week. Every single one of my family members went down.
Oh,
I won. So it was a long week, but we are officially back. And now that I'm feeling good, I'm feeling like ready to go for the new year. But it was a brutal one. I'm not going to lie.
oh my God, that's horrific. So are you back? Or are we talking 100%, 80%? Where are you at?
I am back to eating English muffins is kind of my status there.
Okay.
Not fully back, but I had a little coffee this morning. I ate an English muffin today. So
Does a glass of wine sound good yet?
not yet. So I'm not
Okay.
I'm not fully back. I'm ready for that.
And what about the thought of eating a jambalaya? How does that sound?
Awful. I like that type of food taste-wise, but we have such sensitive stomachs. That's never sounded good. So that's not a
Okay.
good. Yeah. No good there. No dice.
All right. So you're at like 75% maybe.
Yeah, I'm at English muffin, looking at eggs, drinking a little coffee. That's where I'm at.
Did you get any like flu-induced weight loss that you can leverage?
Maybe that's why I'm glowing. I did an accidental cleanse. I haven't checked it, but probably 5 pounds. It was a brutal one, but I will say I'm feeling on the other side. I was the last one to drop, so my family members are fully back. And I know this one is just going across the US and just everywhere. So I'm not alone in this, but I'm feeling great that we are officially through it and our immune system's built up, and here we go.
All right. Well, I appreciate your positive spin on that. Woof. Okay.
If you asked me a couple days ago, it would have been a different vibe.
Is that your highlight that you're back?
Well, yeah, my high is a little bit like that, but it's separating the virus. I was just minus the virus. Again, I was the last one to drop. So even through the kids and my husband, I was kind of meal prepping, going to the gym, able to do some things for myself. So that was my high, is just getting back on like a little bit of a schedule. The kids are back at school. We had an annoying ice day called. We had black ice in Tennessee. So
Oh, no.
no snow, kids home after a day. So that was a little brutal, but I'm still feeling optimistic. And I know there's a snowstorm coming in a very big way. And so we're supposed to get that on Friday. So I'm already like setting my expectations for the kids to be home. And I'm just going to try to remain positive and keep my schedule through it. So we'll see.
Man, I will say that break felt long. And on our end, they had a floating teacher workday on Monday with no kids. I was like, ooh, you're doing us dirty. Like, we are so ready for them to be back.
Really dirty.
Really
Monday.
dirty.
Yeah, that's brutal.
But weather, not much you can do. Was it at least warranted? Like, you had a big
I didn't storm. I mean, it was a little cold. They say black ice. I don't know. I mean, I was out in donuts in the neighborhood, not on ice, just driving around perfectly fine in the afternoon.
Okay.
So I think they have 10 days scheduled. I don't know if your school district does this, where they can call off a snow day. And I think they use those, or a percentage of them they try to. I don't know why. But I already know, like, they called it for black ice that was pretty minor, so we're gonna be out next week for sure if the snowstorm continues on its track. So
No,
as long
I live in
my own schedule, that's what I'm like. That's my high, though, is just getting back in myself and feeling good. So I just gotta keep that track.
Northern California. We get no snow. So no snow days, but teacher floating work days kind of have the same vibe. Oof.
Yeah.
All right. Schedule. We're back this week. Feels good. Into it.
And just feeling slightly healthier. It's a positive.
I love
What
it. Good for you.
What's your high this week?
Maybe in the same vein, the break felt long. I was getting antsy. You know, my home was starting to get to me, and I was like, just had this bug. I'm like, I'm going to clean out these closets that I had been overlooking for months and months. Yeah,
I thought you were gonna say.
I know. We have this coat closet slash collection of all games and art supplies, and, like, it can get really out of hand because the kids are in there rummaging around all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like it was just getting to me, and I was like, "This closet is mine." And I, like, took it down to the studs. Don't tell the kids, but, like, donated and threw away, like, over half of the things in there. I'm like, if it was missing one piece, I was so cutthroat. I'm like, "She done. She out." So,
Yeah.
now it looks great. It looks clean. We'll see how long we can keep it, but, like, I don't know. It's got fresh year, fresh closet energy, and I'm here
Ah,
for it.
you did your spring cleaning in January. Good for you.
Mm.
Good start.
That tells you how long my kids were home. I was
Yeah.
just like,
I'm I'm going to clean a closet now and avoid them a little bit.
I also went through their closets, which I hate that. That's like, ugh, motherhood hidden labor, but it's like going through the closets, cleaning out all the stuff that doesn't fit or has a stain or a hole in the knee. And so I did like a good purge of their stuff too. I don't know. I was just in a mood to throw stuff out.
Yeah. That is the worst job. Put it up there with one of the worst jobs. I'll give it top 5. Because the kids grow so quickly, it's a job that feels never ending.
Well, and it also is like, gosh, I just bought that. It was not, it's like heartbreak every time too. You're like, I love that. And I don't want you to get bigger.
I know. I know. Well, and I do appreciate we do like a clothes share. Your daughter gives my daughter the clothes and my son gives your son the clothes.
Mhm.
It is nice in that way, but it's a little bit annoying because then you have to mail all the stuff to each other, and it is cheaper than buying a whole new wardrobe, but it's just another thing. And if it was once
Mm.
a year, I'm here for it. It feels like once a quarter now, doesn't it? They're growing so fast, it's crazy.
Well, it's that also my kids are small giants. My husband is 6'8". I'm 6 foot tall. It's not like I expected to have tiny children, but
Right.
we're catching up with the cousins that are years older than us, 2 to 3 years older on Grace's side. So Stella, who's 10, we were getting close.
Yeah.
We now hit the same size as Stella, so we're not getting the hand-me-downs. Your son is the same size as my son, unfortunately, and it's like, darn, the hand-me-downs aren't coming fast enough.
Yeah, that's true. It just started to be where Cal caught up to Ace, and
I know. So, the hand-me-downs, I think, are unfortunately not gonna sustain us in the future, and I'm gonna have to, like, chart my own course here. The good news for you, at least with your girls, is you'll be getting newer clothes, like, it won't have to go through quite so many people.
how many kids it goes through now, you're right. Well, and Lola is really tall as well,
Mhm.
and so I think that she hasn't caught up to Grace, which is nice, but she can still fit into those clothes that Grace is passing to her, and it's not too long of a time in between. So,
Totally. Yeah,
it
no, Lola, I think, is the same size Grace was at that age, so she might be your six-footer.
I think so. The doctor said, obviously they can't really tell
Yeah.
because it's about like, hormones and when they hit that stage in their teens. However, she's tracking and they're like, "Oh, she's going to be way taller than you. Do you have height in your family?" And I was telling them about you and Sarah being so tall. And they're like, "Oh, she's going to be like your sisters." So now that's what they say every time I go into the doctors is she's almost to you. She's going to be like your sisters. And I love that
Love
because
it.
she's wanted to be tall like you guys. So
Well, Lola, come join the tall team. Some good, some bad. We'll tell you all about it.
that's right. You can help her through those teen years of trying to get clothes to fit and being taller than all the boys, but for now.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Wish those cute pants goodbye. All right, what's your low?
oh, my low is so I mentioned this snowstorm is coming.
Mhm.
I set this up because I did a Costco run. Not because of the snowstorm, but just because coming back from out of town, we needed to do our normal Costco run. So Lola and I went out on Friday to do this. And Friday, Costco, late Friday afternoon is not ideal.
Ugh.
I don't know
Yeah.
when it is ideal, but that's I found out not ideal.
Only during school hours.
Only during school hours, but this was, yeah, I guess it was like 3:30 in the afternoon, so we just
Mm.
missed the window. And Lola had a party later on that night as well. And so we gave ourselves a pretty big window to go to Costco and come back. Long story short, we do the whole Costco thing. Of course, I went in for a few items, then I have a full cart, yada, yada, yada. We get to the front after the huge line. We pay a significant, bill. And I just happened to just say, like, "Hey, I was looking for this particular bone broth." You know how I was mentioning this on the
Oh,
podcast.
yeah.
I only found flavored bone broth, but that's the number one reason I went. So I asked at the front, and they said, "Oh, it's just in a different aisle this week. If you put your cart aside, then you can go back and get the bone broth and then just come up to the front and I'll check you out for just the bone broth and you can be on your way." Sounded simple. Some things are too good to be true.
Oh,
I
no.
ran back to the aisle with Lola, fighting the crowd to get through there. We can't find this said bone broth in this, so no bone broth, like 15 minutes later after just searching to make sure
Oh.
we went to the right place. We come back up and I'm like, "Where's my cart?" And I
Oh,
look,
god, no.
just wait. They point to the cart, which has now 5 items left in it. And I was like, that's not my cart. I had, like, all these items. I had my receipt." And obviously the woman remembered me and
Yeah.
she was like, "Isn't this your cart?" And then she goes, "Oh, no." I saw her, like, eyes drop, and I thought someone stole my stuff. But
Right.
she was like, "This is a mistake. The workers must have thought this is a return cart." So they grabbed all of the produce, which is protocol, and all the stuff that goes back into the produce and freezer section immediately and put it all back. I mean, we were
No.
gone for a couple of minutes. I can't tell you, like, Lola started crying because she's been late
Oh.
for her party. I was like, it's not this woman's fault. It was accident. She was being very sweet, but I was, like, really trying to look for that hidden camera, like, "Please tell me someone's,
Yeah.
joking."
Please
Anyway,
tell me this is a prank.
and they were like, "We'll do everything we can. We can get somebody here in 15 minutes to do everything," because they were probably low staff, and I was like, "I don't have time." So they let me go around like it was supermarket sweep and get everything else in my cart with my receipt, like, checking it, and, like, run up and then try.
Oh,
But it
no.
it took an additional 45 minutes, and, Lola was late to her party, and I was a little frustrated, so it was a low,
Oh.
for sure.
That is it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare, especially I hate Costco.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the stuff from Costco. I think it's a good value, but, like, I send my husband because that place is just not my happy place of experiences.
You're right. The experience is brutal. It's enjoyable for the first little bit if you have, like, the samples and you have all this like, time
And
in
if
the
it's not crowded. I don't like the crowd. I don't like parking and, like, waiting for a spot. I don't like the line to get in. I don't know. It's just like, ugh. That experience just, like, gave me a shiver.
I should have known when we first walked in because there were no carts. We had to
Mm.
wait for additional carts to be brought up. So that's
That's when you leave. You gotta just leave.
I should have pulled an audible, but anyway,
Well, with a snowstorm coming, everyone was probably like, "Oh, I gotta get my toilet paper."
well, that's why it was so crowded. So,
Mhm.
anyways, we made it through. If something beats the norovirus as your low for the week, it just hit you hard.
Oh, I kinda feel for that lady, but also I'm like, "That's a big whoops."
It was a big whoops, but she was very sweet, and of course, like,
Yeah. What are you
it
gonna do?
I didn't have to be the one that was, like, devastated. Lola crying made her feel so bad, and I felt bad for Lola crying. I was kinda like, "Lola, tone it down," but she was like, "I'm gonna be late for my party." That poor woman was, like, shook.
Oh, no. I'm sure she had a terrible day at work.
I know, I felt bad for her. It was not her fault, and, the efficiency of time to get things back, I found out is pretty fast with Costco, so
Okay. Well, uncle, that sounds terrible.
yeah. What was your low?
I had a pretty horrible experience at the dentist with my children.
Ugh.
Um, my son, Calvin, is not into any appointments of any kind. Haircut, doctor, dentist, orthodontist. The last orthodontist was a truly horrific experience. And this was just this, 6-month teeth clean. I was thinking, let's knock this out since they're home from school. So we went for just a teeth cleaning, and his head was not in the right mental space for a successful clean. He didn't want to go. He was super resistant.
Okay.
So I'm just like, please don't make me come back. Like, what's it gonna take? Like, I was literally like, what bribe? Put a price tag on what it's gonna take to get you in that chair with your mouth open.
'Cause once you're there, it's like you gotta kind of push forward.
Power through, right.
Yeah.
It's almost just like but he's wailing. This
The
place is not a large place, like, we're completely embarrassing ourselves.
yeah.
So then the woman's very sweet, and I said, "Let me take him outside and kinda give him a pep talk, see if I can get him back in here." So we're outside, I'm begging him, I'm just like, "Please, we're here, just, it's not gonna hurt. It's just a little tickle on your teeth. They're gonna clean." I'm just like framing it in any way I can. And I'm like, is it a toy? I just broke down. Is it a toy that it's gonna take? How about I buy you a Lego set? How about I buy you a ice
Do you want a
cream?
pony? Do you want
Yeah. Do you want a dog at this point? No,
Yeah.
not that. But you know, a Lego set didn't even get him excited. He's just like, I can't do it, mom. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Oh, no.
And I was just imagining myself coming back. And I just said, here's what we'll do. If you go in there and only do 1/3 of the appointment, we won't let her floss your teeth because I can do that later. We won't let her do the fluoride because that tastes gross. All she's going to do is like buff your little teeth with the cleaner. And if you don't want, we won't even put the little gritty powder on it. This is like barely even a teeth cleaning at this
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you just splash water in his mouth and call it a day?
pretty much. I said, "If you do that, I will take you out after this, buy you the biggest ice cream sundae, and you get to pick the and you get to pick the dinner spot, and I'll let you watch YouTube Kids tonight."
What's funny to me is I'd love to know the dentist's reaction to that. Is it like you've absolutely, like, done a negative coming to the dentist and then going to get sugar afterwards? They were
Yeah.
probably like, "This is not."
Well, I did that outside out of earshot.
Of course, of course.
So then he was like, "Okay, I'll try to just do only that one thing." And I'm like, "All right, let's." He's got baby teeth, who gives a crap? But got in there, got him to do one thing that I wanted.
Yeah.
And then he looks over at me afterwards. He goes, "Can I get the biggest sundae now?" And I like the woman kind of looked at me
But we don't eat sugar, usually.
like, "Ooh, that's busted. Ooh."
Back up to the desk and go ahead and, like, sign an appointment for your filler that you're gonna need for that cavity that's coming in.
I was just embarrassed. He was like wailing and then totally outed me for my ice cream bribe.
Yeah.
And if I'm throwing in like YouTube Kids, we're at a dark spot.
Yeah, that's no good.
So, anyways, undesirable, horrible experience at the dentist.
I honestly have never taken my kids and had a great experience, but that sounds that sounds pretty low on the totem pole. Oof.
It's also just like I don't know how to get them to do what you need to do if they're like just totally against it sometimes. It's like
I know.
sometimes you just gotta call it. I was literally like, maybe we won't get our teeth cleaned this 6 months. So in a nutshell, dentist, rough.
Really rough.
All right. Yeah. Okay, let's get to it. It is my topic this week. And I thought it might be fun to share some of our recent parenting wins and losses.
Okay.
What are some of the tips or tricks or things you've tried that have worked really well for your family? And where are the places in your parenting where you're still like, yeah, I don't have this figured out. This is still in the L category. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so very generic, broad parenting wins and losses.
Some of mine are pretty specific. So it's just
Well, yeah, but I mean, we're not in one topic of parenting. We're just saying anything that you consider a win as a parent or a loss as a parent.
yeah.
Okay. I like
I'll
it.
go first just to maybe set the stage.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and we did talk about this earlier, but like I'm not getting the hand-me-down clothes flow from the nieces that I thought I was going to get.
Yeah.
And I have decided the kids look just as cute in cheap clothing.
Yeah.
So I have gone pretty much exclusively Cat and Jack from Target,
Great brand.
Zara because it's like a little bit trendier and Grace like thinks it's cool.
Yeah.
Um and I also like Primary. Have you heard of this one? It's like primary.com. It's like really simple basics, but they're well made and they're not expensive.
I love primary, and I only know about it from the hand-me-downs that you were giving us because 'cause they're like
Mhm.
solid sweatshirt, solid t-shirt colors, but they're really nice.
And I think they're great for, like, a jacket, a puffer, legging.
Yeah.
So, anyways, cheap kid clothes with only maybe one special item a season that's nicer for, like, a Christmas dress or something like that, but, I'm just over expensive kid clothes. They outgrow it. It doesn't last longer. Like, the hole in the knee is coming, whether that's a more expensive pair of pants on Cal or not. So,
Yeah. I learned that a long time ago with I bought one of those Jack and Jane outfits that was
uh
100 and something dollars for a wedding for Ace when he was an infant,
yeah,
and he blew out on that thing before the wedding even began, and it was so, like, that was, like, my first indication that, like, expensive clothes ain't it, and then, there's been other reasons, but those brands are great, that's a huge
yeah,
one.
totally. I
And
did try Shein. I don't know if you've tried this yet. And I thought the fabrics were kind of, like, crunchy and gross. So I'm like, "Nah, I'm gonna stick with my Target where it, like, at least it feels good to the touch." I don't know what chemicals are in here, but it's, like, not giving me warm fuzzies.
I also again, I'm not up to speed on the research, but I'm pretty sure those were, like, frowned upon for a while because it was, like, third world factories or something, it was kind of, like, frowned upon how those clothes were being made, so it was a little, like, ick factor, but I
Well,
think cheap
yeah,
clothes is where it's at regardless of what you're using.
yeah. And some people I think are doing, like, thrift, secondhand's, like, great, but just the point is overspending on kids' clothes, over it.
Well, and I will say we are still in this receiving clothes from not only you, but our neighbors have started,
Mm,
like, clothing share, and it's great because we are the younger ones, and so we get everybody's hand-me-downs, and some of them have been through a couple of them before, but it's so nice. We have so many clothes actually right now in this current, like, season, and it's just because of hand-me-downs, so it's not
good.
something we spent, and it really is cost saving. Snow clothes, for instance, we have all new snow clothes from our neighbors for us, it's not new, but they're perfect sizes and we're ready to go, and that stuff is expensive. So I guess I'm just, jumping off of yours, but the shared clothes is still hitting us, and that's a huge
Mhm.
parent win.
Ooh, I like the neighbor shared clothes. I think maybe there's more of that we could get in the mix.
100% it's great. It's kind of like, again, thrift store-ish. If you don't have a neighborhood community, go to the thrift store. It's kind of the same thing.
Mhm.
But it's so nice because we have so many it's almost too much. Sometimes I have to be like, "No, we're not gonna accept a box today. It's too much."
Yeah. Alright, what's one of your parenting wins?
One of my parenting wins is we have a bedtime for the kids, and again,
Mhm.
when it's holiday or if, we have a sporting event or something, I'm not totally crazy to a schedule, I wanna be clear about that, I'm not as much as we talk about how crazy I am with other things, but when we are home and we're in our routine, we have kind of like a 7:30 bedtime for the 2 older ones and between 7 and 7:30 for Lily, and
Mhm.
sometimes it will take until after 8 for the 2 older ones to actually get settled. But it's really nice because I talk to a lot of friends who have kids that maybe are a little bit older, but their bedtime is getting so late that then they don't have me time or
Like,
they
what kind of time are you hearing?
like 8:30, 9 o'clock is the average time
Mhm.
for bed, and by that time, I'm getting already tired. And so, Phil and I really have our, like, almost dates after the kids go to bed, whether that be just hanging out, having a glass of wine and talking, whether it be watching a show, it does not have to be anything crazy. But that is, like, kind of our downtime, and so I think it's a huge win to keep that, like, early time, and I also have children that no matter how early or late they go to bed, they wake up at the same time, which is early at 6s. So, it's beneficial for their own health, in my opinion, because they need the sleep, so
So what's your routine? Is it like you got a 30-minute process? Is it how do you do it?
we've cut it down. I'll I have a second win, which will come into this one.
Okay.
We put Lily down first, so between 7 and 7:30. This is after, bath, but the 2 older
Mhm.
ones are kinda doing their own showers now, which is nice.
Mhm.
So that's not like a long process for me anymore. So it's bedtime. We put Lily down. She's the easiest baby in the world. I go lay her down, sing her a couple songs, walk out. we're done. Then the older 2, we either walk them up or tell them to go upstairs and get settled, and sometimes that's just them laying in their beds. We have night lights where they can read books or put a Tony on. That is kind of it, and then we'll go up, and my second win is I have established nighttime songs that I sing to them.
Mhm.
And I will say it's gotten to be 3 songs in a row now, which for all the kids is getting a little lengthy, but I've got it dialed in, and it's just a cute moment, though. They loved it.
Mhm.
They asked me to sing. It's a bonding experience. I'm gonna be sad when Ace grows out of it, but for now, he's still letting me do it, and I hear them singing this song to each other or just around in their daily every day, and it makes me smile, so that's another win.
What about, like, the pajama, the teeth brushing? Is that happening earlier? Because that we burn a lot of time over here. One of my parenting losses is just the length of time of our bedtime routine, so maybe on the same thing, but we also do books, um, in that window. I don't know. What have you been able to
Ace's homework right now is reading at least 20 minutes a night.
Mhm.
When he gets home from school, he's reading. So we have bumped our book time up earlier. So
Okay.
reading books, it's earlier with the kids. Then they're doing their shower. I obviously will bathe Lily, but it's faster. And it's usually with dinner time, then we send them off to showers. I pop in there to do Lily, pop out. And
And they're brushing their teeth and changing into pajamas right then.
on their own, well, yeah, but
Mhm.
on their own. We've kind of got it dialed in where they're doing it on their own. So it doesn't feel a part of my routine anymore. It doesn't feel like I'm pushing them to do this. And
Are
then
you having to bribe it? Like, do that and then you can do one more thing?
some nights, but for the most part, we kind of have it as a schedule now. It's like
So you're going straight from dinner into the bedtime routine.
pretty much. Now, sometimes there is like when we do a survivor night or we're watching a little show or we're just hanging out playing a game, we'll have that in between, which is totally normal. But whatever time the sometimes we eat dinner early, then we roll right in, and there's like an hour before that 7:30, we're hanging out as a family, but
Got
they're
it.
already ready to go.
Yeah.
So it's just, sports nights do mess with it a little bit. We talked about that, but we just try to keep, even if that's not, the other two are on the schedule, and then the one that gets home from the sporting event is then going straight to bed. So it's
Mhm.
just nice because I want my own time, and I think Phil and I having that time is a win. So we've
Okay,
got
let's transition then into one of my losses, which plays off of that, which is I'm not showering my kids very much. It's I so Grace has eczema, and the dermatologist told us, she really needs to only use soap,
right.
maybe like as little as possible, but no more than twice a week.
Okay.
He didn't actually say don't get her in water more than that, just don't use soap. But I was like, I mean, if she's not even using soap, what's the point? So, long story short, we are at like 2 baths a week, 2 showers a week. Um, they haven't hit the age yet where they're like totally stinky, but I do feel like at times like the hair looks greasy and they're looking a little rough around the edges.
Yeah.
Um,
You're
but I don't know.
you're gonna get called out for this because wasn't it Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis who, like, said something about not bathing their kids very much, and it went viral? Everyone was like, "Ew, gross."
So
You're right in their camp.
I've already come clean on the moss in my pantry, so I think it is what it is.
I mean, obviously, with Grace's skin stuff, you have to kinda do that a little bit, so I don't think that's a bad thing. I just once they get to the point where they're a little bit more self-sufficient, which your kids are probably there or close, she could go rinse off or something one additional night to make you feel better, maybe.
But now the culture, they don't like it. So I have to like really fight for the 2 a week. So it's
Yeah,
like I'm dreading the fight of the daily it's like if you're used to it, it's no big deal and you go pop in, pop out.
right.
But they're always I'm like, "Oh, it's shower night." And they're like, "No." So I've kind of like created a bad culture
Yeah.
around showers or like let them get away with like so few that now when we have it, they dislike it. I'm like, "Who doesn't love a shower? It's so warm and you feel great afterwards."
I mean, I already established it's a hobby for me. I love a shower. But I will say, you know, It's probably good for them. I don't wanna say I'm not a doctor. I'm not gonna say this, but don't they even say, like, your hair, you shouldn't wash it every day? It's not good? Maybe they're just maybe this is good for them. Maybe you're gonna get feedback positively here.
Well, I don't know. I'm putting it in the L category, though. Just being totally transparent here. Where are we winning? Where are we losing? What's one of your losses?
One of my losses is sibling fighting. I can't
Mm,
get through it. We're so in this. It is so bad. The 2 older ones are just going at it, especially when we're home for, like, the holidays a little bit and or just too much time together. And they both treat Lily, the youngest, like she is a princess, and
mhm.
that's gonna rear its ugly head as Lily grows up, but they have such a cute bond with her, and they used to have this bond with each other. They're 18 months apart, so they're super close. And as we've gotten older, they just seem to be at each other's throats a little bit right now, and it's such a loss. I am doing everything I can talking to them about, even if you don't always 100% have to be, like, talking to this person or with this person. You can get your own space, but you have to be nice to each other, and it just seemed like out the window. It's
I've witnessed it firsthand. So I have a flavor for what you're dealing with, and I have no answers. I don't pretend to be an expert. It looks hard. I think just the spacing of the kids is hard and
Yeah.
their personalities. Like, I'm a huge believer you roll the dice and you get what you get. It's like I can't control their personality. I can't control like a lot of this is nature.
Yeah.
They came out with a certain genetic disposition and you get what you get. And yours are both alphas, spicy. I mean, it's like when you get to know them and I love them, it's like I kind of understand why they butt heads.
Yeah. 100%, and Lola is such a true middle. She wants the attention, and if Ace is getting attention, she can't handle it, but Ace has no chill. So he rubs stuff in her face, and it is just you see both sides. They're both right sometimes, they're both wrong
Mhm.
sometimes, and it is just I gotta get through it. But that's a huge loss for me right now because I haven't figured out the recipe, and I do hope and pray that as the relationship continues, they will get closer and closer because they're gonna do life together, kinda like you and I.
Yeah.
I do think they're gonna be close when they get older, but right now we're just it's really frustrating to parent them because I just get so frustrated with them not being nice to
Well,
each.
it's not like mine don't fight. I mean, I don't want to act like that. Mine, the amount of times I say, please separate,
Yes.
separate, separate.
Right.
I'm getting frustrated. You too. Take some time apart.
Right.
Um, like that's on repeat. I will say I don't let them yell at each other though. Like I won't, I'm like volume sensitive, but it's like I always say you can be mad without yelling.
Yeah.
We can disagree without yelling.
We say that a lot. We're still working through it.
Okay.
It's just they double down. That's the part that frustrates.
Mhm. Yours are also just personality-wise, they're just a little more I think Alpha's right, like, they both want to call the shots, there's, like, a little bit of a power struggle where, I've got one alpha and, one who's happy to take orders, so it's just a little more peaceful.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it develops here, but I'm blessed to have Lily. She helps out.
God
What's
bless you,
what
Lil.
give us a win on your side. Let's hear a win.
I'm really proud of myself, but I've been doing a really good job at limiting the kid activities. So, it's a recent win. This is, we'll see if it
In your do less category.
it's in my do less, but I'm doing less and it's starting to pay dividends.
Yeah.
So I was a little too loosey goosey with like, oh, this one extra thing. Okay, we'll squeeze it in. And I have just been like, no, it's 2 activities at a time per kid right now, which is only 3 or max 4 things a week, including games and practices. So if your one thing takes up all 4 slots, then that's it. We're doing one thing.
Yeah.
And I know at some point 4 turns into 6, but my point is it's just like we right now are hitting our quota for the activities in a much better way and it is freeing up space. We've had more family dinners.
Love it.
We've started a really cute thing where we've started reading Harry Potter as a family. Again, it's just like we have the space now where before we were running it too tight. Um like I mentioned before, I got Grace or allowed the Apple Watch, and she has time to start exploring a little bit, and she's been outside more, and I'm liking the new vibe of
Yeah,
do
so
less so there's more downtime.
yeah. Kids ultimately want that, so I think that's a huge win.
And it gives us more time, I don't have the bedtime routine dialed in, but at least we have the space for it.
Yeah.
But I'll keep tweaking that. What's one of yours?
One of mine is we've started to do the last couple months protein shakes for
Okay.
the kids. And it happened because Phil is he loves protein shakes. I also have a protein shake in the day. And they started to want ours, and so when of course, since the parents, they drink it. But now it's become a thing for them in routine, and it's so nice because I know they're getting the amount of protein they need. It's healthy and good for them, and so
Is
every
that like an after school snack or when are they doing it?
yeah, it can be breakfast sometimes, but after
Okay.
snack is really helping too.
Mhm.
And it to me just is a better alternative than some of the things we have done before,
Yeah.
and each of them, like any kid, is picky depending on the day, right? And so it just helps balance out. I'm not worried overall because they're all, at least doing that protein shake, and so
Mhm.
it feels like they've gotten something, good, and it also curbs their appetite for wanting snacks, which the holidays did get back to us a little bit where we were snacking
Mhm.
a lot more. It was just always available when we were at events and parties and family houses, and so we're trying to wean them back off, and so we've started this protein shake, routine again, and it's just a huge win, so love it.
Good for you. I actually think there's a lot of meat on this bone of kid food. We should do a whole podcast on how we're thinking about that and what we're struggling with, what we're getting right. But I don't know. I feel like it's a moment in time where everyone is starting to talk more about Red 40 and the food supply and how are you guys dealing with snacks and like it's coming up a lot. And I think it would be like a really fun one.
I love this topic. It's it's really worrisome, and then the more we're finding out and the more research that I've put into it, it's awful, so I would
Yeah.
love a podcast on it because 'cause I'm super into that topic.
Well, and just one food thing before I move on, but I actually had one of my wins. We've done a much better job with sugar. And we can talk more about this in the full deep dive. But basically, I just started buying no sugar cereals. So they like life. Um, and that's all they have. So if they want cereal, they get life, regular life, no cinnamon, no whatever, the various options.
Yeah.
And they like it. Um, and then with the snacks, I just again kind of started paying more attention and I
Mhm.
just started buying snacks with less sugar, and I stopped keeping the candy accessible. It's just gone away.
One thing I'll say, though, is do the Yuka app. I said this on the last podcast
Yeah.
session. It has kind of turned my eyes to even what I thought was healthy. So if you do
Mhm.
light or you do Cheerios, which we were doing basic Cheerios, some of the additives in there are still not as good as you want. So on
'Kay.
the scale of like sugar to no sugar, it's much better. And I think everything in moderation. But they are significantly saying that a lot of the cereals, even that we think are healthy, some of the bars that they promote as healthy, use the Yuka app because it'll tell you
Okay.
you
I'll
ch
do that.
yeah,
Let me do that for a couple weeks, and then let's do a food podcast, and I'll tell you even what I learned here in the next few weeks.
I love it. And honestly, do yourself a favor, have a date with yourself, go around the grocery store with a podcast in and a Yuka app scanner and have some fun.
Okay. We have different ideas of fun, I see, but all right. How about any more losses? You got any?
Yes, I clean up the most in my household. I
Mhm.
am not the best right now at divvying this chore to the children to clean up after themselves every day. And I'm trying to get better. Like if they have, played in the playroom for a few hours, I'm trying to get them to be the ones to pick it up before they move on to something else. But it's easier said than done. And I know so many other parents are good at this and I'm not. But I also have it's kind of like a control thing. They don't put things away perfectly, and so I should just get more
Mhm.
comfortable with that, but it's a huge loss because it's on me then because I then go in, pick everything up, and I'm constantly cleaning,
Mhm.
and it's just a little bit feels like a hamster wheel of clean, where if I got the kids more involved, then it would be that's a parenting loss for me, it'd be a bigger win.
You know that song, "All I do is win, win, win." I sing that, "All I do is clean, 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 clean." It's like that is so relatable in terms of like, "Oh, another thing for me to clean. Oh, another surface that got crumbs on it. Oh, now I need to vacuum the floor. Oh, we got some magnet tiles out." It's like constant.
On that. I think it was, Big Time Adulting, one of our favorite influencers that we've talked about before. She just did her I think it was her. She just did a reel that was kind of like, "Are you even a parent if you don't go around under your breath huffing and puffing about things,
Mhm.
barking?" I love that move. It's like, it'll build up, and first of all, I'm not even wanting them to really help me. I just want them to hear me grieving about it a little bit.
I do think the you can't move on to the next thing until this is picked up, like, as a boundary, but, they only follow that half the time, but it does help a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Alright, cool. I've
You know?
got one more loss here, which, again, maybe could be addressed a little bit in the food one, but I'll breeze over it here.
Okay.
I have one super picky eater,
Mm,
and for a while, I really, like, tried to go, "You gotta try everything. We're not leaving the dinner table till you take one bite and see if you like it." Like, I put a lot of energy into trying to get my son to eat the food that the other 3 of us were eating,
mhm.
and it was just a fight after a fight after a fight, and he's so stubborn. So, he would, I don't tears, and then he wouldn't eat, and then he's hungry. And I for the better part of a year, like, tried everything I could read online to try to I'd hide the vegetables in a thing. I was making a lot of food, not eating what we wanted to make this bland ass food that he would eat, like,
Yeah,
and then I had this moment where I'm like, "I'm ruining," or I'm not, he's ruining,
yeah.
like, what could be, like, really good family time,
Mhm,
and I just kind of was like, "You know what? Fuck it." Every night I make him a new dinner. Every
mhm.
single night. And now it's like we make one dinner for Grace, Chris, and I make him a separate plate, and he has one of 3 proteins he'll eat. He's got one of, a few fruits and vegetables that he'll eat, and he'll, one of a few starches that he eats. He's
Yeah,
got one of each that and I don't know, but it's like I wasn't able to crack it. I did not win that battle. I
yeah.
completely lost that battle, and I make him a new plate every single night.
It's brutal for you, but I hear you. It's ruining your night every night. You've come up with a solution that's better for you. Who cares what people say? Like,
Yeah,
I and picky eaters maybe will always be picky, but as they get older, maybe he'll pick up more stuff and it will be less like that. But that sucks.
yeah. What about you? You got any others?
Well, I was actually gonna pivot a win from what I just said. So I
Cool.
clean up all the time. So one thing I'm cleaning up all the time, which I don't love, is actually a win on the other side, which is
Okay.
in their stockings, all of the kids got these animals, little tiny figurines. So a jar of Ace got like bugs and insects. Lola and Lily got like
Fake?
animal
Like
fake,
fake inse
fake,
Okay, okay,
fake little tiny things. There's like probably 100 in a jar. So they each got a jar of tiny little animals or insects.
okay.
I was kind of thinking, didn't come from me. Like, I don't know about this. And Lily also got magnetiles, and we've had magnetiles before, but she got some really cool ones that is like building castles and princess magnetiles.
Mhm.
For whatever reason, magic has happened. All 3 kids will sit down and build castles with the magnetiles and play zoo or different things with these little tiny figurines that I thought they were just gonna push aside. They love them, and all 3 of them play together. This
Mm,
is the time that Lola and Ace do not fight. This is Lily getting involved. My kids, Ace is getting older, but he still likes doing this. It's not for
mhm,
old, but they just enjoy it, and they'll sit there, you know, the snow day the other day, they sat there for a few hours and played, and it was a hu
mhm.
and I did not see that coming. I was, like, not thinking that toy was gonna do it, so that's a huge win.
I bet we played with Magna-Tiles more than any other toy that we've ever had, and we still have them in our living room, and they are still out all the time. I mean, they're expensive
Yeah,
to get, and I remember being like, "I don't know if this is gonna be worth it." Oh my god, it's worth it. That one has paid off more than anything else.
they're great. They're
Yeah.
so great and worth it, and we don't have a I mean, We just got one kit for Lily.
Well done. You're about to spend an absolute fortune on more because the more they have, the bigger these things, and again, the more time they'll spend on it. And I'm like, great. That's a good use. That's a great investment.
Well, so far it's working. I believe
Good
it.
for you.
And the other thing I'll say is we got a tiny piano for Christmas too. And my 2 older ones have been trying to get into piano, but we haven't done piano lessons yet, which I think is coming very soon.
What do you mean a tiny piano?
It was from Target, but it's this little piano it has notes on the keys. And it's actually
Okay.
Lily, which is why I say tiny piano. But it's got these little cards that have like Mary Had a Little Lamb, all the
Hmm.
different songs, and it will have the notes. And they can play because they see the notes on the little keyboard. So now what's happening is Lily's having fun with it, not really playing that much. Ace and Lola are learning how to play the songs on the little piano, then taking it to our big piano and figuring out where the notes are.
Wow. Okay.
I did not know. I mean, this was a gift for Lily that we thought was gonna be cute, and it's now, again, a huge win because all of them are using it in different ways, and it's actually teaching the kids a little piano before we actually start lessons, so I am, very excited about that.
Great. Yeah. Total win. All right. Well, we're at time with this, but this was fun. But let's wrap it up. What's your obsession?
My obsession is sticking with the food, but we found these overnight oats called Oats Overnight Protein at Costco. They sell them.
Okay.
I've been Target marketed them for them before. Yes, you can make overnight oats yourself, and I do that sometimes. But these have 20 grams of protein in each packet. They have 6 grams of fiber in each packet. And there's a little sugar, but most of it is like maple and date powder. It's not a lot of added sugar. And so long story short, the kids are loving these and it's just very efficient. So the
Is
night
it like
before
instant oatmeal?
it is, but you can speed up the process with a microwave. But I've just been doing overnight oats. So the night before, in my little jar, I'll put in 2 packets with the milk. It's like, per 8 ounces per packet. And so I'll do 2 of those.
Okay.
Next day, they're ready to go, and I just pour them in a bowl for the kids, and they're loving it. And it feels like a healthier option. It's good protein, and it's making my life a lot easier because it's way faster. And it's a win. Costco. Oats.
Okay.
Overnight.
Send me, yes. Okay. I'm going to check that out too. That's a fun one. And then again, we can regroup on our food podcast in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Perfect. What is your obsession this week?
Calvin came home and said, "Can you play?" I'm sure they do this. "Can you play this song on Spotify or whatever?" And he said, "Mommy's making sandwiches." And I was like, "That's not a song." Like he's been making stuff up. And Grace was like, "Nah, that's not real." And he was like, "No, it's real. It's real. I heard it and I love it." And I'm like, "Okay." So I Google "Mommy making sandwiches." It is a Snoop Dogg song.
Oh.
He made like a kid song. It is so good. It has been an earworm for me all week.
Oh my gosh.
It's like jazzy and it's amazing. So we will put a link here to Mommy making sandwiches. You're
Well,
welcome.
we should add in I did not know about that song, but we should add in Snoop Dogg's affirmation song. Have you heard this one?
I have heard this. My kids didn't like it. It was like a little too much. I am responsible.
My kids did like it for a period of time
Okay.
lately, but the fact that Snoop Dogg's doing this for kids is great. I love Snoop
You
Dogg.
can do no wrong right now.
No, I mean my high school me driving around in my Prelude, my red Prelude windows down listening to rap music is loving everything about this.
From his Olympic coverage, the Martha friendship,
Nailed it.
Mommy making sandwiches. Snoop, you do you. You're my obsession this week. Thank you for your service.
Okay, I love it. That's great.
All right.
That's
Well,
a wrap.
that's a wrap. Love you.
Lilas.
Lilas. Bye.